I get a feeling like absolutely no other when I'm on stage performing. Like, I could be worrying about everything 5 seconds before I go up those stairs onto the stage. But the second I'm on that stage, all the weight comes off my shoulders. And even like my tics go away. And I think that's why I like performing so much, just because of the place it takes me to and how I feel when I'm doing it. But it wasn't always that way. When I was 10, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease and 2 co-infections. And my parents had to take my mattress from my bedroom and put it down in their office beside their bedroom. And I had to spend the summer in that bed, sick. And I looked out the window and I remember vividly the thought, why can't I play outside? Like, my 10-year-old brain didn't understand why this was happening to me. A few years had passed and I was doing better. I was 13 at the time and homeschooled my whole life, but I wanted to try out going to school for the first time. And I was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome going into 8th grade. I was also pursuing music at this time. The kids in school would pick on me for my Tourette syndrome and for my music. Looking back, 8th grade was just a very difficult year, but it was also a defining moment in my life that made me who I am. So I remember being, 10 years old, and when I had to spend that summer in bed, I remember looking out the window as a 10-year-old, just kind of angry at God, like why I wasn't able to play outside. Like, I didn't understand. And, as the years went on, things started to get a lot worse. I remember being a teenager and sick, and I really felt alone. I was in my room a lot of days, and I wouldn't come downstairs for a week at a time. And I remember just locking myself away from family and not talking to them. So I normally don't talk about this specific story too much, just because it was such a dark space that I was in. I remember this one time vividly. I was in my room and I took the screen off of my window. Part of me couldn't even believe that I was this close to doing this. And I looked outside of the window and I was so close to jumping out and maiming myself, because I felt like the only possible escape from what I was going through was either to end my life or to hurt myself. This is where things start to get really bad physically. I just started going downhill very quickly. In 2017 rolls around. I was diagnosed with a brain inflammation, an autoimmune disorder, and CIDP, which is a nerve inflammation that breaks the sheath around your nerves. At the end of 2017, we had to start a really invasive treatment called IVIG. And a home nurse had to come to the home for 18 months, and 3 days out of every month for 18 months. She administered this treatment to me through an IV, and really all I could do being hooked up to this treatment was sleep or be in a chair. And it took a toll on me. Christmas 2017 rolls around, and right before my birthday, I had to undergo a surgery where the doctors had to put in a foot-long catheter that they inserted into my heart, because we had to start another really invasive treatment called plasmapheresis at the beginning of 2018. And we traveled up to Brooklyn, New York for a week out of every month for 6 months. And during that week, I was in a cancer ward hooked up to a machine from my catheter, and they had to spin all of the blood in my body out 1.5 times each day and clean it, and put in 20 bottles of albumin, which was a human plasma product. And this treatment made me feel really sick, so they also had to infuse a medicine to help me not get sick. You know, I was wheelchair bound and bedridden at this time, and we had gone to so many different doctors and tried every test in the book, from spinal taps to MRIs to brain scans, everything that you can think of, and nothing really seemed to help. So I remember 2018 honestly being the darkest year in my life, and these suicidal thoughts and depression and anger was just really overwhelming for me, and it was like paralyzing mentally. During this time, I really wouldn't even come downstairs for like a week at a time. I wouldn't come to family dinners, and when anybody in my family would come up and try to talk to me, I would just isolate myself and block myself off from everybody. And there was like a visible like gloominess you could see over my face. There was this one night that my anger just overtook me, and I just was in so much pain physically and mentally I couldn't take it anymore. And I just got up and started banging on my wall out of just frustration and anger, and it was the only way I felt like I could like physically get my anger out. During the same time, I remember that I walked out of my room one night and my dad was right outside my bedroom on his knees, and he was he was praying and he was begging God to heal me. And looking back on that, it's super impactful. My parents ended up getting me a jumbo text Bible with a bunch of highlighters, and while I was getting these treatments and in bed all day, I would take my Bible and I would highlight all these different verses that really stuck out to me, and I'd read them over and over again. And one of the verses that really stuck out to me was Exodus 14:14, that says, "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." And my sister actually took a marker and she wrote that on a big piece of paper, and she put it up on my wall for me to always see that and cling to it. And that's a verse that really helped me through, and it's kind of a life verse for me. Beginning of 2019, I started getting progressively better. We went to this one doctor in Virginia Beach that had these all-natural bioenergetic sprays that you would spray under your tongue, and they reset your immune system to be able to help fight off infection. And that was the one thing that I noticed to help me the most. And I got out of my wheelchair, and I remember going into church the first time, actually being able to walk. My mom told me later that there was a deacon that came up to her that told her he had saw me walk in that day, and it brought him to tears because he had saw where I came from being bedridden and wheelchair bound to be able to walk. And the summer of 2019, I remember going up to where I was born and kayaking for the first time in years, and that was the first sign to me that I was really doing better, because that was something I wasn't able to do this whole time, you know?
That they have overcome incredible things, and regardless of what they God has been faithful. And so let's welcome to the stage here at Liberty 20-year-old rap artist, music star, Isaac Allen.
I wrote a song called Bury Myself about my Tourette syndrome and how it can be really difficult to go out in public because of my tics and the way that people treat me because of them. But at the same time, God has allowed me to use Tourette syndrome and these tics as a good thing. I recently made some beats out of my tics, which ended up catching the attention of Lecrae and Andy Mineo, and it was just like so crazy to me because like those are the guys that like got me into this in the first place. So it was such an encouragement to me and it really helped my career. And since then, God has really just allowed some mind-blowing stuff to happen. I recently just hit 1 million streams with my music and shared my story and performed my music at Liberty University Convocation. And it was about 13,000 people in the building. I really got connected to the Tourette's community a lot. And there's been a lot of people that have reached out to me who have either had Tourette's or their family member has Tourette's, and they've messaged me and told me how much my music has ministered to them through this. And it's just absolutely mind-blowing to see. You know, I remember recently somebody reached out to me and he was about to take his own life, and he told me that right before he did that, one of my songs came on, and God told him not to do it, and he said that that song helped save his life, and it's messages like that that keep me going. Like at the end of the day, that's the reason why I do this. Like that's worth it to me. If one person is ministered and helped, that's worth it at the end of the day. Yeah, honestly, 13-year-old me who was starting music for the first time, if I went back and told him that these type of things would happen, I don't know if he would believe me, you know? God's just been doing really, really cool things, and I'm so excited to continue to see what he's gonna do.
All you ever do is take. Rob me on my piece and give it back, only to watch it break. What's the deal with you? Don't you realize